We've been in a really long cycle of not trusting the information we're given, discrediting each other's sources, leaning more into conspiracy theories than data, and generally just working ourselves up into a really unproductive lather that only serves as a means of releasing the immense amount of stress and pressure we all seem to be under. The only problem is the release isn't real, right? So the relief is temporary and escaping. I swear, I'm talking about the economy and real estate. It's another BLS jobs report day. And this report has become somewhat infamous, right? First, because we couldn't figure out how the labor market remained so strong, defied all odds. Then we saw major revisions that had us all wondering where the information even really comes from and spurred the conspiracy theorists. And now, once again, the data is strengthened. So much energy, especially from economists hired by real estate and mortgage companies, has been spent poking holes in the data and desperately grasping for signs of a recession. I'll explain why, but first, let me fill you in on the numbers. Hiring slowed. So we added less jobs than expected in January. Hiring slowed to 143,000. This would normally lead to a rally in mortgage bonds as investors moved their money to a safer asset on fears of a recession, a job loss recession. When there's times of economic uncertainty, mortgage interest rates improve because of the way investors move their money. When the demand for mortgage bonds increases, mortgage interest rates improve. So, slowed job hiring would typically be a good day in my space. However, even though hiring slowed, unemployment also went down to 4%. Then I saw the University of Michigan's survey of consumers showed that expectations about inflation are not encouraging. Their report showed an increase. Well, the data itself increased. Let me explain this better. They surveyed the consumers, and consumers have been expecting that inflation would be around 3% this year. But the most recent survey showed a big jump of consumers now expecting inflation to increase to 4.3% over the coming year. So that impacted the S&P because investors moved their money. Barry Habib, an analyst almost every mortgage company hires to give advice to their loan officers, has been trying to convince us for not one, not two, but now approaching 3 years that the labor market is actually on the verge of breaking. Any minute now, it's going to happen. And this morning, as he was trying to blame illegal immigrants for the skewed labor force numbers, it just felt like, man, this reaching is really getting out of hand now. I thought to myself, what if we were to just accept the data for what it is? What would that look like? If we stop with the theories, and in my opinion, the bullshit, here are the facts. Inflation is sticky. This isn't political, and it has nothing to do with the tariffs because we haven't seen how those are going to play out yet. It has a lot to do with behavioral spending and Americans' complete inability to live within their means, evidenced by the data on consumer debt. The labor market is persevering. Even with the revisions up and down, the labor market has not crumbled under the Fed's rate hiking scheme. And this is a nod to Powell's credit because his whole job mandate is to do two things: tackle inflation without breaking the jobs market. This is evidenced by both the data on inflation readings and jobs numbers. Again, not conspiracies, not politics, just the data on those two things. Housing is picking up in a major way. And I could say this based on the fact that we received 9 new contracts last week and then another 5 this week, several of which were contingent, meaning they will lead to more escrows. And I'm just a small fish in this big pond of real estate professionals. But this point is, again, not going to be evidenced by my opinion or experience. It is evidenced by the fact that mortgage applications were up in January. So we're seeing more activity in the real estate market. What do we do with this information? I think we have to accept one simple fact. This year is going to be very busy for some realtors, some lenders, and some homeowners, buyers, and sellers. The strength of the labor market tells us that people can, in fact, afford to buy a home. Not everybody, but there are people out there who can and will buy homes this year. Instead of arguing with it and trying to poke holes in the data, we should just lean into that. I'm not saying it will be easy for everyone to buy and sell a home this year because the inventory situation is still what it is. Not great. But there will be a lot of business done this year. It's just a matter of who's going to be doing it. For our buyers, my advice is similar. If you want to buy a home this year, don't assume it's impossible because there's people who are going to do it this year. You just need a plan. If you missed Property Pursuits this week, you should check it out for more information on interest rates, what we think they'll be doing this year, and whether or not they'll be coming down. Plus, 3 specific strategies Sandy and I are seeing work for our clients right now as boots on the ground. And if you're local to Reno, now is the time to grab your ticket to The Future is Female. If you haven't heard, we're doing a very special spinoff this time to empower women in wellness. We'll be talking about advocacy for yourself in healthcare. We'll be talking about hormone therapy, fitness, and why women need community and how to find it so you can live your best life. You're not going to want to miss this one, and you will be very displeased with yourself if you do.